Hello everyone, welcome back to Center Stand Mechanics. My name is Kyle, and today just gonna do a little bit of work to the. I figured out it's not an it's not a 74. It's a 75 on paper. It says 74 on the neck, 12 months of 74, but when I looked at the paperwork, it said 75. So I'll probably have to go with what's on the paperwork. So I'll have to correct that and make it a 1975 Honda XL250. Yeah, today's video, I'm just sort of farting around. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with this bike. If, the transmission is good and stuff, and, and I have, a fairly extensive parts list that I need to get. And I'm sure there's more, and I'll be adding to that as I go, but it's starting to add up. So I haven't ordered anything just yet, but I will. So it's going to take a little bit for all that to come in. I got to take apart this steering stem here and get this top of the triple clamp off so I can weld on that piece. So I kind of want to get that done before I start building it up too much, because obviously I got to take that off to get that welded, and so that'll probably be one of the first things. But before I get that going on, if you see my last video, I was talking about how it was kind of leaking a bit through the head gasket, and I found some of the head bolts to be loose, and I kind of want to see if I can just go around. I can only tighten a couple, like these ones here are easy to get at, but I think there's a couple inside the valve cover here that I can't get at. So I think one of the things I want to do today is see if I can take that valve cover off, and see how loose those head bolts are, tighten them up if they are, and then kind of make a judgment call, like, run the bike and kind of make a judgment call if I'm gonna, tear the head down or not. The last time I started up, it smoked quite a bit. So if I can tighten down the head and the smoking goes away, I might hold off tearing the whole motor apart, like the top end anyways, and rebuilding it. So it'd be nice not to have to do that right away, because I got so much other stuff I gotta sort out. I'd like to get this thing kind of together at least before I start, opening up a whole can of worms, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so I don't really have a super detailed plan yet, but I'm just going to be playing around with it. I'd like to kind of get it running again and be able to, like, take it out. Like, I don't know if the clutch works or the gears work or anything like that. So it'd be nice to kind of see if I can torque down the head, get it running, maybe fix up some kind of a, air filter thing so I can kind of simulate the amount of draft it's going to have. Those air filters are fairly expensive from what I can tell. It might be 50, 60, maybe even $70 to get one shipped to my house. So I'm going to do it, obviously, when I get riding on the road, but to kind of test things out and see how it runs with a sort of a similar situation where it's pulling through an air filter. I've got a couple ideas what I'm going to do. I was going to do that, and and maybe kind of just tidy this up a little bit here so I can, at least ride it around the block. Oh, that fell off. And yeah, just sort of maybe zip tie some of this stuff up and clean out the fuel tank, and maybe, put up the fuel tank's actually not that dirty. It's one of the easier things I got to deal with. It's I think I can just dump what's in there out and just put fuel in it, put it back on the bike, put fuel in it, and it should work just fine. So yeah, anyways, let's just start playing around with it, okay? So I think in order to get this valve cover off, you gotta maybe take the points plate out at the very least. Probably, I'm thinking. Because, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. So it'd be, so I'll probably have to take this plate out, and I'll have to reset it when I put it back, but that's okay. Little tube off right here. It's like a breather tube. It's really stiff. Yeah, it's cracked. It's cracked. Kind of didn't want to have to pull it all the way out of the frame. Let's get it up out of the way though. And this should just pop off. There we go. That'll give me a chance to clean up underneath here too. Okay. Yeah, there's it's pretty dirty on the back behind her. Yeah, some of these are easier to reach. Yeah, some of these are loose. Yeah, see, there's no tension on those at all. And then I got some 12s here. So I'll go around and get all these bolts out. And I'll get this cover off. So there is a valve cover bolt underneath these. I haven't been able to find a shop manual for this. Every other bike I've worked on lately, I've had no problem, but I can find them, but I mean, they want like $100 just for the manual. So I'm kind of going in blind. I should have one, obviously, but okay. There's the last bolt. And then, yeah, so once you get all these bolts out, and these two under here should just lift off. Alright, perfect. That looks like it's in good shape. Yeah, I see one bolt. If you look down in there, there's a weird thing on this side that I don't know what that is. And then you can see the one bolt that I'm looking for. What's this here? So there's a really strange part on here. This thing here, I've never seen this before done this way. But so here's one head bolt here, and then there's the other two that are outside the valve cover that are easy to get at. So there's this one, and then this one. There's this weird, like, it's kind of like a plug. And I'm just gonna try to pull it out. There's an O-ring on it. I think, like, I've got an oil leak here, and I think this is why. Because it's got this. I'll put that down for a sec. There. There, you see that? And I think oil is getting past this. I'm not sure what's going on here, why they did it like that, but I see. So this part of the fins, this one, actually, this head bolt is actually outside in the atmosphere. This is the only one that's technically inside the oil chamber, this one. The other two are outside to the atmosphere. But the only way to get this one is through the top. And you gotta take this plug out. This is very strange. Never seen anything like that. So I'm gonna probably end up fixing this, or replacing this O-ring. And now I can finally get on the head bolt there. That's really weird. Okay. So I got my torque wrench here. And I looked it up. It says anywhere between 25 and 30 foot-pounds of torque for these head bolts. So we'll start with this one that I think is loose. And we'll see what we get out of it here. There we go. See how, so I got, like, I would say a third of a turn out of that one. So that's 25. Now we'll do a crisscross. We'll go over to the far side here. Yeah, so that one's tight. And we'll do this inside one here. That one's tight. And we'll do this one. Yeah, so that one's tight. So it might not be a blown head gasket. This one is where I heard the sound going pss, 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 out of here when I first started it up. I tightened down a couple of these, but I didn't get this one and this one. And this one was fairly loose. Plus, it also looks like it could be easily leaking oil out of that gasket. So I'm curious that we might get away with just changing that O-ring. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to go up to 30 here. There, 30. I had to change up my socket because you need something that's not too thick on the sides to get it down in there. There we go. So that's there. So that's 30. $30. $30. There, 30. Okay. There, I'm quite happy with that. It's a few days later now. It's the weekend, and I'm going to do some more work on the XL250. And I've got some parts ready for the ultrasonic cleaner. This is the valve cover. It's a little dirty on top here, so we're going to run that through. And I've got the air filter screen here. It's pretty dirty. I'm gonna run this through and see if I can clean that up a bit. And I've got a bunch of bolts for the valve cover, and I got the petcock for the fuel tank in here, and the caps, and just a bunch of various other things in this little basket here. Once they come through, I'll open it up and show you how they turned out and stuff, and that, and yeah, the cleaner's almost ready to go. So yeah, so I'll bring you back when all that stuff is clean, and I go to put it all back together. I'm still waiting for that little rubber seal here. I didn't have one quite the right size. You need a specific size. It needs to be the right thickness and everything for it to properly seal in there. So that should be coming in today. So I'm hoping to have this stuff all cleaned up and ready to put back together, and then I'll get that seal on, and hopefully it'll fit, you know. And then yeah, be able to move forward with it. All right. Okay, everything is out of the ultrasonic cleaner, and looking pretty good. These parts I just cleaned up with WD-40, so this and this, and I just wanted to get the inside and everything cleaned up before they went on. So I wiped them out with WD-40, and then all these metal pieces were in the ultrasonic cleaner. This one turned out pretty good. You want to oil this stuff right away once it comes out of there, because it strips it all clean, and it'll just kind of flash rust if you don't. So I put some oil on here, and everything's gliding really nicely, and I cleaned out all these holes. There's a little bit of leftover gasket maker stuff in there, and one of these dowel pins dropped out. I found it in the bottom of the cleaner, so make sure you check the bottom of your cleaner. So that one went back in there. This one turned out pretty good. It was quite dirty on top here, right here in the center, so it, you know, cleaned all that off. Here's the little valve covers that go on there. Here's that special little plug thing. Clean that up. And here's the fuel petcock. It looks pretty good. And some of the band clamps, you know, I threw them in there. They cleaned up, and all the bolts. And then here's the screen for the air cleaner. It was pretty dirty, but that ultrasonic cleaner does a pretty good job of cleaning that all up. Hopefully you can see down in there. Yeah. So that's good and ready to go on. I've got a temporary solution for this. I've got this this mat cloth here. It's I'm just gonna wrap it up there and then wire it on there until my actual air cleaner comes on, so I can at least run the bike, and it'll kind of simulate air cleaner, and hopefully it'll kind of run how it should with the proper air cleaner on there. And then when I'll change it out when I get the right one. And here's the air cleaner boot. So yeah, WD-40 does a pretty good job on this stuff. You know, kind of softens it up a little bit, shines it up, and cleans it all in one go. Kind of see the faint outline of the old sticker on here. So I don't know, it's kind of cool. I'll probably find that sticker somewhere. It'd be nice to get that on there again. And yeah, so that's all that stuff's waiting to go back on. I'm still waiting for this little seal for the plug here. I can't really put any of this on until I get this seal. It's all waiting on this. It's supposed to be here today, so hasn't come yet though. So yeah, hopefully I'll get that and it's the right size. And then yeah, I think this is all ready to go. Yeah, I cleaned the top of the head and everything, so yeah, just waiting for that one seal, and I'll probably get out here tomorrow and start putting this all back together. And yeah, I'll bring you back when I get that seal in there. Okay, I got my O-rings in the mail finally. So it's the next day, and these actually showed up. They didn't show up till 9 p.m. 9:05 last night. I got dropped off, which is pretty late for delivery. So one of the things I'm worried about is this one is slightly bigger than what's supposed to be. So I might have to, you know, struggle to get it in. So it's supposed to go on there like that. And yeah, it does protrude a little bit. But it might squish down. I'm hopeful that I can get that in. Got the plug here. I got the new O-ring loaded up onto it. And I put a little bit of RTV around it, mostly just to help kind of lubricate it as it goes in and, you know, seal as well, but I don't think sealing is going to be the problem. So yeah, I just reached down in here and I think it's going in, actually. Oh, it actually went in. I didn't think it was going to. It's a tight fit. But that's what you want, right? Yeah, actually I think it went in. The height of the thing is the same height as the edge here, so I'm assuming that when the valve cover goes down, there's something underneath that sits on top here and holds that plug in. But if you look really closely, it made its way all the way on there. That's pretty cool. Huh, that actually went better than I thought it would. I'm just cleaning out these threads with just chasing out the threads with the tap here. Just by finger tight, nothing crazy. I don't want to cross anything out. I just want to kind of clean out there's leftover gasket maker in the threads. So the cleaner these are, the better off you'll be. Okay, I just got a little bit of sandpaper here, and I'm not really sanding the surface as much as just dragging off. There's like a little light film of the old gasket stuff on here, and it's just, the sandpaper is just helping me just kind of drag that stuff off. There's like just a little film of it everywhere, and I already done the other side. I just get going around this side now. I've cleaned out all the holes as best I can, the bolt holes, and I'll do the underside of the valve cover as well. And get that all prepped up. Just a little bit of brake clean here. Just to get rid of the oily surface. There. It's looking pretty clean now. Okay, I'll go around do the other side. and then I'll move over to the valve cover. So yeah, just doing the underside of the valve cover here. Okay, for this job, I've got a tube of this Honda Bond. It's really good for sealing cases together with no gasket. This is the really good stuff. I think you can use that Permatex stuff that there's a, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's similar to this, but I think this is the better stuff. And, so just kind of put it on everywhere. And try not to get it down into the bolt holes too much. So I've got it on there pretty good. I'm going around and getting the excess out of these bolt holes. Now I have I guess a theory or a hypothesis, you could say, that when you get this silicone stuff on the threads of the bolts, you can't get an accurate torque setting because the silicone kind of lubricates the threads of the bolts more than anything else really. And I've had problems every time you get some of this stuff on the threads. You end up over torquing and snapping the bolt, or stretching the thread. Yeah, it's just, it seems like every time you get this stuff. So I'd watch out for that. It could, maybe I got a faulty torque wrench or something. I don't know. It's happened a bunch of times, and so I'm a little extra careful about getting this the silicone on the threads. So I just want to make sure there's nothing hanging down in there, and you want a nice light even film on everything, obviously. And yeah, I would go around and pick these holes clean if I were you. You don't need it in there anyway, so you might as well try to clean it up the best you can. Because nothing sucks more than snapping off a bolt. Oh. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm ready to put this on now. Okay, one last final check. Make sure there's nothing weird going on, and then we'll get this thing orientated the right way, and then I'll try to get it on without scraping over anything. There we go. There. There. Just testing the rockers, make sure there's not, not every, but I've had it where like it actually flops over too far and then it's, it's wrong. You want them to be on top of the cam. So that sounds good. That looks good. I'll put my first 2 bolts in. They're kind of center of the whole situation, maybe a little off center, but start them and work our way around from there. And remember, these long ones, they went in here, and then this one on this side had the little clip for the points wire. And these 2 went in here. We'll start with these bigger ones here. I'll just give them a nice little equal torquing. Get this side. Okay. And then we've got these ones. And then got this one. One, and then back to these ones, and then these ones. I'll have to check the valve clearance again when I get this all torqued down. I'll just torque these ones. Feels pretty good. I'll just torque these ones. Feels pretty good. These smaller 10 mil bolts won't take a whole lot of torque. I think it's like 7 or 8 foot-pounds of torque, so something like that. And then back to these are the bigger 12 millimeter bolts. So yeah, that one's pretty tight. That one's pretty tight. Yeah, that's pretty tight. Yeah. Those are all looking pretty good. Let's do these ones once more. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Those are all looking pretty good. Okay. So I'm just checking the edge now that this is torqued down. I'm just looking for the bleed out of this gasket maker stuff. You can see it's all squished down nice and tight. And then I'll just wipe that clean. I mean, you could wait till it's dry, but and then you can see it in here. Nice little bleed out there, and a little bleed out up in there. So I'm pretty confident that's sealed everything. Alright, now I gotta take this cover off so I can get at the flywheel. Check and make sure that I'm at top dead center so I can check the valves. And then I'm also gonna install the points plate and get that all timed correctly. Oh man, these are tight. And again, there's a little bit of oil in behind here, but if you kind of prop the bike up like I've got on a little piece of wood here, so it's standing a little more straight up and down, it will not spill out, as long as it's not over full. There we go. There's a little rubber O-ring around here. We'll keep that off to the side. Okay. I'm just gonna move the light over here. There's top right there. Yeah, if you look right here, there's the line for top dead center. Here's your marker, your indicator marker or whatever, and this is the line here, and then that's the firing line right there. So indeed, we're on top dead center. Now I'm just going to check the valve clearance real quick. Hopefully it's good. You have to recheck it because after putting this back on, it might have changed because of just taking that off. So the minimum clearance is 2 thousandths of an inch here. That's going to be this one. And then it's a little tricky to get it in there. Okay, I've got the 2 in there, and it feels tight. It feels nice. I can just barely, drag it in there. That feels good. Let's check this one. Now I can get it under there. It was too tight before. Okay, so this one, I can get it under there now, and it feels good. And then it actually makes that ticking sound now. I don't know if you can hear that, but it wasn't doing that before. So that seems good. We'll move over to the other side here. There. Okay, so that one feels good. Yeah, those feel good. Alright, those check out. Make sure they're tightened down, just double check. Yeah, that one feels good. And that one feels good. Okay. Alright, so the valves feel like they're in check now. Alright. I'm going to put this points plate back on, but first I'm going to clean these, the centrifugal advance. It's just a little bit dirty in there, so a little WD-40. Get a little brush in here. Clean this out the best we can before we put it back on. This can's almost out. There, that's looking a lot better in there now. Much better. Look at that. Way cleaner now. It's got nice smooth action. A little bit of runoff onto these fins. That'll probably smoke off. No problem. Yeah. Okay. That's looking good now. Now I cleaned this off with a toothbrush and some WD-40 previously, and the contacts look really good. And then this thing goes in here. Yeah. Yeah. Just like so. So we'll have to adjust this in a moment. I'm just kind of lightly putting that in. You got another screw. It takes 2 screws to hold it down. Another one goes right here. Now if you look at it right here, there's a little mark and there's a little point on the casing. I think that's kind of like where you want to start. So in around there somewhere, you're kind of close. And if I remember correctly, this mark here on the plate was slightly this way. Before I took it off. So now I'm going to rotate the engine until I get high on the points cam, and I'm just going to double check the gap and make sure it's at 14 thousandths. Just going to turn this a little bit, and then you can kind of faintly see there's a little line on the points cam, and then here's where it rides. So I'm thinking it's going to be right around where that line is, so maybe slightly past. Yeah, right about there. Okay, now I'm going to get my feeler gauge. We'll just check the gap. So we've got 14 thousandths just going in. Yeah, that fits just nicely. So positive to the lead that comes out of here. I don't think it really matters if you're positive or negative, but we'll just keep it like that. And then you take your negative lead, and then we'll go to the frame somewhere, just anywhere here, or to the engine. All right. And then if we rotate the engine back, and those close, see? Now I gotta check my firing mark. So if you look down here, I'll set you up. I'll get you in real close. So right there is the firing mark. I'm really hoping you can see it on there. So it's a little bit early. So it's firing right there. So it's a little bit early. So we need to get that. So I'm going to set it to the firing mark. And then I'm going to rotate this back a little bit. First I got to undo those screws that are holding it on. So now I'm just going to check this. And it should. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's right on the firing line now. So that's slightly before, so that means the points are closed. And then once you come around to the firing mark, boom, they go out. The beep goes out, so they're opening now. So closed, open, closed, open. That's like right on the line. Okay, so I'm just going to tighten down those screws. And double check that. Yeah, it's right on the firing. All right, so that's the static timing done. So pretty happy with that. So I'll put all this stuff away. I'll put this cover back on and plug this lead in, and then you got to put the valve cover caps back on, and then get some fuel to it. That's exciting. Get rid of any crud that's on this gasket surface here. Same thing on here, just give this a nice little wipe. Okay. Okay, I got the valve cover caps here. And I did manage to find a couple of O-rings to replace the old ones. The old ones here, you know, they're kind of flat and seen better days. The only thing, I'm going to put a little bit of RTV on. This tube's almost done. But I keep popping a little hole in it. Squeezing a little bit out. And then I'll just run some all the way around on these. Like so. And yeah, that should help that out. Perfect. Okay. Valve covers are on tight. Oh, and I have to, hold on a sec, I gotta plug in this lead here. This is the lead for the points. Plugs into the side of this here. Just gonna squish that down a little bit. Okay. All right. And then what's next? To work on this air filter, get that buttoned up, and then fuel tank. And I have the points cover to put on over there. That's just a couple of screws. Just gonna wipe out the other half of this air box. I already done the cover, but I haven't done this part yet. Just make sure there's no dust or anything weird in here. Okay. I'm just going to cut a little piece off of here, wrap it around this air filter screen, and try to mimic what an air cleaner, how it would work. Like, this is just a piece of filter screen for the air purifier we have in the house, and I'm just gonna, you know, it'll help with the you know, the larger pieces of dust, and you know, maybe I'm hoping it'll, you know, quiet it down some and mimic the amount of draw that is pulling through the filter. Here's my plan. Okay, we'll just wrap some electrical tape around here, kind of close off the end. I don't know. It doesn't have to last very long. There. Something like that, eh? Sure. Why not? Okay, so that bolts in. Now it's just this clamp. Okay, so it's secure. That looks good. Just gonna check, make sure the choke cable works okay. I'll put this cover on. Just takes one bolt at the bottom. You gotta kind of hook the top in, and then something like that. Okay, points cover. There's supposed to be a gasket that goes on here, but I don't have this gasket. It broke when I took it off, and I'll probably end up getting a whole gasket kit down the road. And this thing doesn't hold back any oil, and I'm not riding it around in the rain or anything like that. So I'll put it on for now the way it is, and fix it properly later. It's good to cover it though, because sometimes these points spark a little bit, and if you got some kind of a fuel leak or something, it's best to have this covered. And then there's this thing here. I'm gonna trim this back. Just gonna try warming this up a little bit. It's pretty hard and brittle, this thing. Soften it right up. Okay, so that's on, everything's on. All that's left is the fuel tank. So I just got to put the petcock together, and we should be golden. Just looking at the fuel petcock, there's a rubber seal in here, and it's looking a little bit old. I wonder if I could pick that out. Let's see. I might just put an O-ring in here. Huh. I don't have the rebuild kit for this, so why don't I? Maybe I'll just put some RTV around here and just put it in, and then hope for the best until I get a proper kit for all that. Good old RTV. What would we do without it? All right. I'll put this in. There. That's nice and tight. Push that over to the other side, and then we'll cut it to length. I think that's a bit better. There. Put the bolt in for the fuel tank. I'll get the cap, and then there. That's probably all right like that. Come in. There. Just got these here. I'm just gonna take a wad of tape and kind of tape these up for now, so I don't lose them. They don't hang down and get caught while I test this thing out. All right, got it outside. Everything's put on that I need to run it. Got the fuel on. Just turn the key. Out goes the Kickstarter. Let's see what happens here. Oh yeah. That's running pretty good now, eh? See, I wanted to get this air cleaner on because all you can hear is it sucking air. Let it run for a bit. See how it's smoking here? We'll see if that clears up. It could be a thing, I don't know. Chain's super loose. Curious to see if it'll actually move. The chain's really loose, so you might hear some chain noise. Not sure how adjusted this clutch is. I haven't even begun to look into that yet. Let's see if it goes with the gear. Oh, there's a gear. Oh. Ah. Goes clutch seems to work. It's all the way out to the spider web in the head. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna see if I can adjust this clutch out a bit. It's like all the way. You gotta let it out all the way, so it feels like it might be riding the clutch a little bit. All the way out here. Yeah, loosen that off a little bit. Let's try that. Cool. know, that smoking might go away. I'll keep at it, and you know, run it a few more times and see how that goes. But yeah, it's running pretty good. We would like to get all this fixed up. That'll be next. Take this thing off here. Get this fixed right here. Might have to patch that one. See if this works here. Oh yeah, it works. Cool. Well, I would call that a success. It's not perfect by a long shot. I didn't know that it had an exhaust leak there. I'll have to, you know, take that off and see if I can weld a patch on there or something. But that's all part of it. And then, yeah, I can't, none of the lights work, but, you know, I'm not surprised. I thought maybe the tail light might work, but no such luck. But, yeah, there's still a ton of stuff to do on this thing. But that, you know, I think I'll, you know, I'll run it a few more times and see if I can get that thing to stop smoking. I might move forward with just fixing everything else first and getting it kind of complete that way, and then go back to the engine afterwards. I think it'll run like this. Might be a little smoky, but it'll run, so I'll be able to use it and stuff. And then I'll go back to the rings. That's just a quick little, you know, take, well, probably not that quick, but that'll give me time to get a proper service manual, because I don't have one. So I don't really want to open up the engine until I get a service manual. And you know, I'm just kind of winging it right now. But yeah, I want to thank you for watching, and tune in for more videos on this bike. Yeah, it might be a little bit before I get all the parts in, but without a doubt I'll be working on it again very soon. Might do a few things to the Ultimate Zombie Apocalypse bike in the next little bit coming up. Got a few things, a little more accessories for that coming up. And yeah, all kinds of fun. But we hope to, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. I really like getting these videos out to you, and we'll hope to see you in the next video. Center Stand Mechanics out.